Hello and welcome everyone to this Q&A with Course Coordinator. This event is part of the Scientific STEM Out-of-the-Box MOOC, a STEM approach to non-STEM subjects. My name is Miriam, and together with my colleague Jelena, we would like to thank you for joining us. We're coordinating this course hosted in the European SchoolNet Academy, and we're very happy to see so many of you. So in this live event, you will be able to ask us questions about the course, and we will answer them. So we will start by giving an overview of how this course works and answer those questions that some of you already posted on the Padlet available at the end of Module 1 and also on our Facebook group. So maybe before we start, I would like to cover a few housekeeping topics. So first, please make sure that your sound is turned on. And we would like to remind you that during the Q&A, your cameras and microphones are off. And secondly, if you have any questions, you are invited to write them here in the chat, and we will answer them. So let's have a look first at how this course is divided. As you probably know already, with this course, you will learn how to integrate STEM, that stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics in your non-STEM lessons. So arts, humanities, literature, management, etc. And with this, you will help your students develop scientific, mathematical, and problem-solving skills. So in this course, you will explore STEM classroom activities and ideas, and it will guide you also through exemplary STEM lessons planned, created and tested by other teachers, as well as resources, challenges to increase your students' knowledge and skills needed for the future. So the course is divided into 4 modules. And this week, the first module, Introduction to STEM for the Future, is already available. Many of you have already been through it, so every week a new module starts. So next week you will have access to Module 2, where you will explore innovative pedagogies for STEM teaching. Then on the 26th of September, the third module opens and you will have access to STEM skills and higher order thinking. And the last module, number 4, that will be open on the 3rd of October, where we will learn more about designing learning scenarios to engage your students. But later, Jelena will give you more details on this. So we already see that many people are posting questions, and we will go through them in a second. Now, as you probably know, the course is accessed openly via the web at your convenience. There are no live lectures, but there will be 3 optional live events, such as this one. Today we have the first one, the Q&A with the course coordinators. Next week, we will have a webinar with experts. And finally, on the 5th of October, we will have a very exciting Teach Meet. However, the recordings of all 3 live events will be available after in the course, so you can watch them at your own time. It is not necessary to attend them live. So you can follow the course at your own pace at any time, and we open 1 module at the beginning of each week, like I said. But there are a few deadlines that you need to pay attention to, and Jelena will give you more information on this. So please, Jelena, if you wish, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Miriam. Good evening from my side. I just also want to briefly welcome our course moderator, Peter Kane. He's also here with us today, and he will be here in the chat. We will have a chance to answer some questions at the very end. So here is Peter. Hey, and he will be here also to answer some of your questions. So let's get back to what we will cover in our course. So you already had a chance to explore Module 1 of our course, and you can already see that we have prepared some high-quality content for you that includes exemplary lesson plans from our pilot teachers. Peter is also one of our pilot teachers. You will get to see his learning scenario in Module 2, but in Module 1 you already get to see some exemplary lesson plans, and I could already see that you found them useful, and you found a lot of interesting advice on how to implement STEM in your lessons. In addition, you will find, of course, some activities to stimulate reflections and conversation. You can also share your opinions or share your questions in the course forum or in the course Facebook group. Peter will be there to guide you, as well as Miriam and I will be there from time to time to answer any of your questions. Miriam mentioned already live events, and of course, at the very end of the course, you will be expected to create your own STEM learning scenario that is based on the scientific learning scenario template, as well as peer review other 3 learning scenarios from course participants. So we received some questions about where should you actually submit your learning scenario template. So I think best would be for me to demonstrate right now. I'm gonna give you insight of what is to come in module 4 and what is to come in our courses. So I'm gonna briefly switch now from the presentation, and I will share my screen. It will be good if you can confirm that you can see my screen. Maybe Miriam can give me thumbs up.
Yeah, I think we're good to go.
Excellent. So here we are on the course homepage that is familiar to you. So far, you only have access to module 1, but here you have a sneak preview of what is to come, the other 3 modules. So in the course, you can have this tab on top that you can follow your progress. You can see that there are some activities that you have to participate in, and most importantly, there is a peer assessment activity that is in module 4. Pay attention to the dates. There are no deadlines for individual activities. There's only one deadline, which is 19 October at 23:59 Central European Summer Time. If you have any doubts or questions, make sure that you visit the course forum, which is called discussion. There you will find designated categories, for example, for peer assessment support, or you can ask some questions to moderators, or in any case, if you have anything that you wish to discuss with your peers, you can post it here. You can have an overview of all the live events in this tab. This is now we are in the Q&A. We will also post recordings of our live events here, as well as you can see what is to come. We will have a teach meet. If you're interested to participate as a speaker, there is explanation on how you can submit your application for that. All right, so let's go back to our course. And let's go to module 4, where the peer assessment activity is. So you will see here on the course handouts, we already have prepared for you learning scenario template and the rubric that you can download, and you can already start working on it. We mentioned in module 1, you can already start filling it slowly, but only in module 4, so that will be in the week of October 3rd, I believe. That is when we're gonna start module 4, and only from then you will be able to submit your learning scenario. And you will have to submit your learning scenario in the peer assessment activity that looks like that. As you can see, it's still not available because it's starting only on the 3rd of October. There are 3 steps that you have to kind of follow in order to receive your course certificate. I'm now in the learners mode, so you cannot see as the peer assessment activity is still not open, but I'm going to quickly go to the staff mode so that I can showcase you how does a peer assessment activity look like. You will see first that there is this prompt that says, what will you be assigned on, graded on? You then can get to see the rubric in a slightly different form. This is how the rubric looks like in the peer assessment activity. So you can already see which are the important parts of your learning scenario that you have to include. Then you will be prompted to submit your learning scenario. You will have to upload a file, so you will save it either as a doc Word file, or you can also save it as a PDF file. You will have to then select file you wish to upload. You will upload it, save it, add a short description, and then upload it, and only then you will be able to move to step 2, which is assess your peers. You can, don't worry if you didn't get all this demonstration. In the when we open the module 4, you will be able to read these instructions for yourself. Everything is very clearly explained in peer assessment activity instructions, all 3 steps, the deadlines. You will also find all the relevant templates and so on and so forth. When it comes to the second step of the peer assessment activity, in which you have to review your peers, it's very important that you provide constructive feedback. And how would you provide constructive feedback? We have prepared a document that outlines here what is a good feedback, what it should include and what it should not include. There is also kind of an example that can help you fill in. But not only that, we have also prepared a practice peer assessment, which is just before the actual peer assessment activity, in which you will have, we prepared a short lesson plan. It looks slightly different than the learning scenario template you have to prepare. Of course, we didn't want to burden you with reviewing a very long one. It's a very short lesson plan, and then we ask you to reflect. For example, the first one is learning objectives. So what do you think, how successful is this lesson plan in addressing learning objective? You will select a criteria, and not only that, you will also here provide a written feedback, and then you will get to compare what you have written with the one that we suggest. It's a very good way for you to practice giving this feedback, which is very important for peers who will be then reading and receiving and also working to improve their own learning scenario. So that is more or less how the peer assessment activity look like. Remember, it only becomes available to you in module 4, but we strongly encourage you to already start working on your learning scenario template. Rubric is also available to you right away, so you will be able to see what is expected from you. I think that is all that I would like to show you here on the platform. So I will go back to the slides now. Excellent, we are back. Let me just find where I left off. Okay, so you participated in all the activities. You will see then your grades here. You finished the peer assessment activity, meaning you submitted your learning scenario template, and you reviewed your peers. You received the final grade that will be shown here. Congratulations, now you will receive your course certificate that looks like this. You will also receive a digital badge that you can then upload to your backpack that you can then use to share it with your employer on social media and so on and so forth. So you will be rewarded for your very hard work. That's it for me for now, and if you have any questions, go ahead, post them in the chat, and I will get back to you in a bit. Thank you.
Lovely. So as Jelena showed you, you can download the learning scenario template from the course handouts, and we invite you to fill it in step by step at the end of every module. And you will also find some instructions, how to create your own learning scenario bit by bit. And of course, in every module, you will find 3 exemplary learning scenarios created and tested by teachers. So throughout the course, you will have access to 9. 3 for early childhood education, 3 for primary, and 3 for secondary school. So I won't go into detail on how to fill in every single part of the learning scenario unless there's a question too. But I would like to focus more on the STEM criteria section of your learning scenario, because I think this might be new to some of you, and we already got a question on the Facebook group as well as in the chat about the STEM criteria. So what is this section of the learning scenario? A STEM school is defined as a school with a clear strategy characterized by different key elements and criteria. So Scientix has developed the STEM school label criteria and has identified key areas that can help school advance and have a clear strategy for STEM education. So in particular, there are 7 key elements. And in every module of the course, you will be guided to fill in this table step by step, and we will give you examples on each of them. Now, it might be not possible for you to fill in all the criteria yet, and that is okay. We will aim to fill in at least 2 criteria per element, especially because you will be creating a learning scenario that emphasizes STEM. So let's have a look at one of the 7 elements as an example. We have the element connections. So in this case, there are 5 criteria. So with industry, with parents, other schools, platform, etc. So this is an example from a learning scenario for early childhood education, and the topic is the wind. So the children are exploring wind in multiple forms, through stories, through outdoor activities, etc. So how this learning scenario has a connection with industry? Well, so for example, a wind energy expert, as it says in the slide, or a meteorologist is going to be invited physically or virtually to talk with students and discuss about wind energy and what is the wind. And yeah, it's nice for the students to also connect with an expert. For example, with parents or guardians, then in the outdoor experience, parents will be invited and support the children by being present at the lesson. So yeah, it's a matter of checking each element and each criteria and see how your learning scenario could benefit from it. And let's say that you don't have any connections with universities and or research centers. That's okay. You don't need to fill in everything. Just try to see per element 1 or 2. Like I mentioned before, it's this is basically to encourage you to reflect on each element every week throughout the course and see how you can integrate more STEM in your classroom, but also in your school. Because in the end, you are the best ambassadors for your school to integrate STEM. So this is it from our side, from the questions that we saw in our Padlet and Facebook group, but we will take care now of the questions that you post in the chat. So we invite you again to write any questions that you might have, and we will answer them, of course.
Yes, Anouk, who posted initially about the connection, she's asking if we make parents take a survey on a topic, does this count as a connection?
Well, you are connecting with parents. They are not physically in the classroom, but you are taking their opinions into account. So I will say so.
Yeah, I will also agree on that. Also, Anouk mentioned that she took MOOC on computer science too. Great to hear that, as yeah, I was also involved in that MOOC, and then the learning scenario, it was a little bit less complicated. That is indeed true. It was a different tool. It was an online tool where we used the scientific learning scenario template maybe gives you a little bit more freedom. It's a bit a different approach, and yeah, you can also maybe pick and choose what works for your classroom. Then we had a question, I can't find the exact question right now, but there was a question about examples. If we will showcase some examples, yes, absolutely. Already module 1, there are 3 learning scenarios, one for different age groups, one for early childhood education, one for primary, and one for secondary school. And there will be 6 more in module, 3 more in module 2, and 3 more in module 3. So you can look forward to that. I'm sorry I couldn't find the name of the person. Then Angela is asking from Italy, is asking if we can work in pairs or in a small group for the lesson plan. Yes, it is possible to work in pairs or in small groups. I will say rather pairs than small groups. But bear in mind that you can only submit your work individually. So if you are working in a pair with someone, make sure that both of you submit your learning scenario individually. Also make sure that you credit everyone who worked on it. So both people, you should write the name so you're not accused of plagiarism. And another advice is also if you could try not to submit your learning scenarios at the same time, because you're risking, if you submit at the same time, you're risking of receiving your own learning scenario to review. So it is possible to work in groups, yes. But just bear in mind those three items. Okay, I haven't seen anything else.
A couple of questions there, on time management. One question through the Facebook was, it seems a bit daunting to get it all done in such a short time, but I guess I think I've done 5 of these courses myself. It's just about trying to keep up each week with the given tasks, doing a little bit of the learning scenario each week, following that, and having it ready at the end. I know the first one I did, I found the peer review quite daunting. So I'd read the documents, get yourself aware, and kind of know about what a peer review is. So when it comes to it at the end, it's not that daunting. So kind of read up the back documents you mentioned. That is the one thing I found this course I hadn't come across before. So it's something novel, something new, but it's very interesting. And actually, you're looking at your peers' work and reviewing it. It's something new, and it's something actually, as a teacher, I really engage with. So do a little bit each week. Keep up with the coursework. Any questions you have, if you're struggling, just contact me through the Facebook group, and I'll try and help you out where possible.
Yeah, excellent advice. Thanks, Peter. Yeah, I think exactly. Try to do a little bit every week, and by the time you reach module 4, you will have your learning scenario ready, and then you can focus on peer reviews. Excellent. We have another question from Calliope about what happens with learning scenarios after the MOOC ends. So we will ask anyone interested to nominate their learning scenario for publication. So we won't use the whole batch, let's say, of learning scenario. We, in order to respect the privacy, there will be only use of peer assessment, but there will be opportunity if you think that your learning scenario is worth to be published, you will be able to submit it, and we will consider it then for publication. It will, of course, have to follow certain criteria, but if you're interested in having it published, there will be an opportunity for that as well.
There's also another question from Roberta. Has the learning scenario be tried in class by the end of the course? Roberta, do you mean the exemplary learning scenarios, or if your learning scenario needs to be implemented? The learning scenarios from exemplary learning scenarios from the teachers, they've been designed and implemented already before the course started. About your learning scenario, it doesn't need to be implemented. Yours, no, it doesn't need to be implemented by the end of the learning scenario. That would be too much. Only the design phase and the peer assessment, of course.
Yeah, indeed. If you have a chance to try maybe some of the activities throughout the run, you're more than welcome, but it's not expected to have completed the whole learning scenario. Anouk is asking about the computer science MOOC, if she can submit her learning scenario. Unfortunately, for that MOOC, we had a different process in mind. We had a different competition there, not necessarily publication of a learning scenario. Sorry about that, but maybe some other time. Okay, and then we have a question about Ana Maria is asking about how long it lasts to receive STEM label for schools after the submission of the documents. Thank you. So I think there is a bit confusion here in terms of, I think you're referring to STEM school label, which is independent from this MOOC. We are including this criteria because we think it's relevant for the topic, and we think it's relevant for you to consider when you are implementing STEM, to consider these ideas behind, but you would not, your school would not gain a label by submitting this learning scenario. There is a different set of criteria that your school has to fulfill in order to be labeled as a STEM school.
We have another question from Anouk. In the learning scenario, there's a field where we should evaluate the lesson, so we are not obligated to fill it out if we don't have to actually implement it. I will try though. The evaluation, let me move my slides so I can show you that part. Evaluation, we are talking, the system criteria, your lesson. Here, you're talking about this part, assessment. So here is not how it went, it's just how you are going to put into place which strategies. Teacher's remarks, sorry, okay. I will finish the assessment, I will go to the teacher's remarks. So assessment is how you are going to evaluate students or how they are going to evaluate themselves. That's also, of course, as a possibility through peer review or metacognition. So teacher's remarks, indeed, if you have not implemented your learning scenario, you don't need to fill this bit. But in this exemplary learning scenarios, you will see that the pilot teachers, they did implement it, and then they are giving you tips in this section on how to implement the learning scenario in case you want to. No problem, Anouk. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay, any other questions? I'm scrolling up to see if I haven't missed. I just shared the link to the Facebook group, and as Peter mentioned, you can also find it on the course home page if you can still join. I'm not seeing anything else. Peter, was there anything else in the Facebook group that we might have missed?
No, there was a couple of questions of how to attach the learning scenario, but I think that was answered earlier on today. You know, that will come later in the course, yes. the whole criteria. So for now, I'd be downloading the template, working on that, even a physical copy, have it on your desk, working on that, and having a look at the peer review. But as for attaching the documents, as you mentioned earlier, that Miriam, that will be down the line in a further module. But for now, just thinking about the learning scenario, maybe coming up with some ideas, having a look at the examples on module 1. And there was some queries. It sounds a bit daunting, but I mean, when you see the examples, I think it is, you know, quite straightforward, and it's kind of easier than you will think. So best of luck, everybody, with that.
Yeah, definitely. Also, make sure you watch the videos. Teachers also reflect a little bit on the whole process, also on students' feedback, and they give you some really useful advice. How the best advice is just start. I think Peter says that in his video. So I think that is a great advice. So go ahead, download the template and start filling it in, and we will be here to answer any of your questions. Of course, Facebook group, course forum, yeah, or any other way you can try and reach us. I think I don't see any questions. Maybe we can wait 1 or 2 minutes to see if there is anything else coming our way. Otherwise, we will save the recording of this event, and we will upload it most likely tomorrow together with a presentation. So in case you want to watch it again, or for the ones who missed this live session, you will be able to rewatch it. You can visit the live event section of the course, and you will find the recording there sometime tomorrow.
All right. So if there are any other questions, well, in the meantime, if we wait for another question, we would like to thank you all for joining us. And we are looking forward also to see you on the next live event on Thursday, the 22nd, in our webinar with experts. And as Jelena mentioned, you will find more information in the live event section of the course. Looking forward to it too.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Peter, for joining us. Wishing you all a lovely evening.
Yeah, and I look forward to seeing you on the Facebook group. Any questions you have or queries, no problem answering them. Thanks for your interaction. Everybody so far has been really engaging. Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you so much.